all Xyceres here. We're just doing another base tour. This time it will be for Wakonda, which was my November Discord Builder Contest entry. The theme was Winterize. Looking at this here, you'll note that I did speed it up a little bit, but we had 41 raid attempts before the social ones from the contest, averaged a 1.8 kill ratio, and our accolades were 17 fun, 4 brutal, 5 ingenious, and 7 artistic, which if you add up is about 33, which means that it's roughly 0.75. Accolade to raid ratio, which is honestly one of the lowest I've had in a very long time. I don't think I've had less than one since like release month. But anyway, let's jump straight into this. Oh, and this was built on stream. I'll put the link to the stream in the description, so if you want to see the initial building stages, but we'll quickly go over things and changes and whatnot once we're in the map. Okay, and now we are going to have a quick run through the actual base. So, you'll notice big red platform all around. I've obviously messed up a little bit because that should have this on it. Ooh, not there, there. But yeah, big red platform with glass all over it so you can see inside, and everything inside is this like snowy wonderland. There was a lot of work on the decals that I did on stream, and the outside is red sands, just to give this really jarring contrast between the inside of the map and the outside. That this has been turned into winter, and this outside has not. So doorway, I opened this up a little bit. It used to just be like one block that you'd walk in. It was here, I believe. It was lined up with that. But I opened it up a little bit, put a little bit of a balcony thing here. There was always some bolt shots down here, but yeah, just open it up a little bit so that you can more easily see everything going on when you come in, and just have a little bit more freedom of how you want to tackle it, especially if you want to go to the left or right. The really interesting thing that I find with this is when you like stand about here and look like partially in and partially out, you can really tell the difference between the inner section, which is all winter, and the outer section, which is all red sands. And I think that makes for quite a striking image. As for the lights and the decal that's on the actual doorway here, I just was trying to sell the idea that this was that there was like a force field over this door. That this isn't just a hole in the side and it just magically stops. There is some technology here that blocks the cool air from the inside from the hot air outside that's, you know, cool, because you're in the desert. And as you go around, you'll notice every few blocks there is one of these aircon units. The tree kind of blocks them on that side. But if we go around to the back here, you'll see that that continues basically everywhere. Just, you know, aircon units make sense when I'm trying to make something look like it's really frosty on the inside, and obviously the frostiness on the inside is all done with decals. If you check out the stream, you'll notice that it's I was using a different decal at the top, but I swapped it to the snow decal once the snow decal was fixed. It is a little bit awkward because you get stuff like this where, so that inner section is the snow decal and that outer section is the old color that I was using. And you'll notice this is much bluer and lighter, whereas this is more dull. Which lighter makes sense because snow, but it's probably a little bit too blue, I think, is a big problem. and it kind of can be a little bit jarring towards the top here, where you've got like the ice, which is fairly pure white, as opposed to the snow, which is which has more of a blue tinge to it. Yeah, so ice decals are on everything. There are ice decals just everywhere on every single surface. There is an ice decal to make it look like there is snow covering everything. The higher up you are, the thicker it is. But that's all we're going to cover for that, because if you want to see that, I spent like 4 hours on stream placing those. If you want to see the logic behind every single placement of those, you can if you really want. Now, as for guards, the natural instinct of most players is always to run straight forward. It's never the best plan, honestly, and by doing so, you'll notice that there's a few things here. So you've got Plasma Sentinels, which are really flashy, so they'll more likely take the player's view, and you'll notice that this one has Eagle Eye. I think they both have Eagle Eye. Yeah, they both have Eagle Eye, so they can just cover as much space as possible. There's a couple Hornets. They're more to slow you down than anything, because their Hornets don't have a particularly good shot in this case, and there's not really enough of them to make it super threatening. And because they are on full patrol routes, they will eventually come close to the ground. That one there, and that one there. So if you do, you always have the option to take them out while they're close to the ground, as opposed to if you were to use a stand still, you could stop them. We also have some Ravagers over here, because the Harvey path used to go like down here and then up, and went through here, through this, and then down to here and into the thing, and there was a little wedge block here, which is why you'll notice quite a few deaths right on this where this wedge block was, because that would be mostly this Ravager, occasionally that Assassin, occasionally one of these. But yeah, that had to be removed due to the restrictions on the contest, and I just built that in a different block style so that I could remove it with one button press, which worked quite well, actually. Yeah, so these Ravagers, the only reason you're ever going to be over here is because you're either following the Harvey path or because you've realised that it's a fairly safe spot to jump down without having to jump all the way down at the bottom, which can be, which means that you're going to be in a fairly short range of these Ravagers. So Ravagers fire faster, pretty good at short to medium ranges. That's everything that I want from them. I think this is one of the only stone blocks in the entire map, or it's one of the only ones that's actually used as a stone block. I think maybe that part of the tree might be stone. No, it's the snowman. The snowman's stone. That's it. That's just so that the assassin has access to this platform and this platform, because I knew that the moment that the HRV path was removed, that the assassin would lose access to this bottom layer, and I think it needed to access a little bit more. This bomb trap up there, it's more like if you try to go too far to the side, you might get caught out by this, which I think might happen if someone thought it was in the snowman, but no one... people had issues with finding the gem map, but more on that in a minute. Because there was some steps to avoid that, but I think that's just always going to be a problem with a non-linear map that's HRV pathless. And as we go around the snowman, we notice the first of these bolt traps that I have on the wall. So it has a line straight through here that goes like straight through here and right up to where one of the tombs is, and a little bit further. Because this is just before this, it's a spot where I kind of expect people to be, especially as there's 2 enforcers and a Ravager here that all need to be dealt with. and sometimes you'll like deal with that, and or you'll be here dealing with that and not jump in not jump in time because that's so far away you probably just don't notice it. We have a similar thing here, except this one is covering the entrance. So that there has range to trigger here, but it hits to about here. So it catches a few, actually, like, I think that's probably, it's hard to tell, it could be that bolt shot instead. That bolt shot's just going forward for a similar reason, just in case someone drops down on the, if someone was to drop down on the right instead of on the left, like they would be dodging all those ravages, and there would be very little danger here, and I do kind of want to stop that, but it's not completely safe because of the enforcers that have full line of sight on you. What I did in the gameplay where I jumped up here is pretty much always safe because I had to leave this top area safe so that the exit, so that I could make a case for this being an exit. It wasn't clear in the rules if an exit holocube was required. Said that the way it was worded, it could be that you could have one. Or it could be required. I put one in just in case. It doesn't say anything about safe or what it has to be an exit of. It is an exit of the tree, but it also is an exit to the map because by the time you've cleared out everything in here, aggro is fully reset, and this is the only thing dangerous is that thing if you haven't dealt with it, and it just moving forward at a regular speed will dodge that because you were walking perpendicular to it. So that was that as my exit holocube. It just gives you a straight run to here, and the most important thing is the trap density is very low as you come this way because I didn't put anything up here because I wanted that as an exit. Needed an exit and I wanted that to be the exit. As for other things, trap density like traps and guards get a lot more dense as you get closer to the entrance of here, which is also coincidentally not too far from the entrance to the house that I've built, which has a couple guards and a couple traps in it. Nothing too fancy. This one doesn't need. This one's literally just to be a fire pit for cosmetic reasons. You can see no one ever died to it. Some people died to the bolt shot, and most of these would be either bolt shot or warmongers. There's another warmonger up here. No, it's almost always the Ravager. It's almost always this Ravager. And I got a similar situation with the bolt shot that covers the entrance to the tree, with the bolt shot covering the entrance to the house, just so that it's not completely open. Just so it's not completely open. I want to at least pretend like that could potentially be where the gem mat is. Now, let's go on to how the people had difficulty finding the gem map. I actually did try to make it so that the gem map positioning would be fairly obvious. So, the ways that I've done that. When you're standing here, you'll notice that you can see a piston that is pointing towards you. That creates a flash of red, which contrasts with the rest of the map. It's more likely to draw the eye, so you're more likely to be drawn over this way, which that is very close to where the door is. Also, I took away the ice where the fire would hit because I thought that that would be melted off, and it just seemed appropriate. Yeah, so if you were to come straight over to investigate that red, you would be here, and here you've got some threats around you, but you've also got a clear view of the gem mat room. Another thing I did, I limited the number of buildings. I didn't want to have 20 billion buildings going around. The gem mat I've never seen a gem mat that like generated in a cave. You can almost always see it from, like, if I was to strip every outpost I have, you can always see the gen map out in the open. So that means that there has to be something built around it to hide it. And you'll note that almost all of this is bedrock. except for very notable exceptions. There's a snowman, a house, and a tree. So you only have three things that you need to check. The snowman's quite easy to check. It has no openings and is, yeah, kind of a little too small. Like it would pretty much need to be like right in the center of the body for it to be accessible, and the doorway would have to be here. It's not. There's not even a doorway there, so that's obviously not where the gem mat is. The house is a little bit bigger, but the moment you walk in, you'll notice this is a fairly big room. It's about the size of the house. There's no hidden compartments or anything, so that allows you to rule that out. And that just leaves the tree. The tree is obviously bigger and has a few different levels. Like it could be down here. It could be in here. There's this tunnel here. A lot of people ended up in this tunnel. I don't know why specifically this tunnel when you could theoretically go over the top. And like almost no one went over the top. It was always that tunnel. So that tunnel has a little bit of danger in it, just a couple bolt shots at either end. The assassin's not supposed to cover this, but it kind of does. And the bomb trap up here, just to provide some distraction. I think at least one of these deaths is from the bomb trap. There it is. I kinda think of that more as a distraction than an actual threat in this case, which is kind of awkward because it's the more expensive trap, but whatever. This tunnel was at least dangerous enough to persuade people from using it, even though it is a pretty easy way to get to the end of the map. And yeah, the last thing is just in here. We've just got a couple hornets because I just needed something. I wanted them to be like up there. I didn't want to really put a lot of structure into the middle of the tree. So yeah, a couple bolt shots that have hunter on them so that they can track people as they move around if they try to dodge it that way. And this one I think has armor and short leash, and I think this one's short leash and the slow fields. The armor so that it protects itself, so that like if you do shoot that one first, you may end up not killing it. And this one with the slow fields, because the slow fields are actually pretty good. And if the slow field misses, you have more chance of being hit by something else that could be chasing you in here. Makes it a little bit hectic. Ravager covering the entrance. Assassin, who will spot you as you go in and chase you around, and because when I removed the Harvey path, the assassin became more dangerous because it had access to this whole area here. Which was all part of the plan. As you can see, it's a big wide open arena. There is no like single spots that's like super dense with kills. Actually the last area the gem could have been hidden. This frozen lake is not bedrock. You can tell because you can see the ice underneath the snow decals. I actually don't think there is snow decals on that. I think it might just be the ice at the top of the ice block. So I've got some assassins patrolling this because it's really hard to see them in this snow, and they just kind of like run circles. And there is no entrance here, similar to the snowman. It's not supposed to be a red herring or anything. It's just supposed to block off the bottom of the map a little bit because it got a little too like once you go lower than this, it gets a little too janky, and I just wanted to block that off. This is as low as I want to go, and yeah, there's nothing going on with that. The only possible entrance to it is this here, which is a tomb, and I don't think anyone really thought it was part of this. I don't recall anyone fully exploring this, but there's also we've got a bunch of sentry beams just kind of chilling around the edges here. They are all burst beam. They're just designed to try and catch people if they go too low, because you can actually there was a pretty safe play where you go low, get real close to these guards, just deal with the two assassins, and you could come up the pillars and deal with the guards that way. And I just wanted to make that a little bit more dangerous, and some sentry beams have done that. And these bolt shots here are for, as I said earlier, people generally go straight forward, and if you go straight forward and don't set up your grapple like there, you trigger these. They have a fairly long range. They're all hunter. I don't know if they've got anyone. Be hard to find one, but that's what they are there for. Plus, Sentinels just cover a wide area, so they're pretty nice to have in the air, and I just didn't want to put... I didn't want to put too many, because A, I could use the capacity for something else, and B, it just didn't really add a lot. They're not that scary anymore. Like 1 or 2 can be pretty scary because they add pressure alongside everything else you're having to deal with, but like if you put 20 in the air somewhere, they just, you know, take a step to the left and then start killing them. It's not worth it. And the last thing that I forgot about is the bomb cave. This is just a random cave. It's covered in bombs. People dealing with the cannon back up here, or if they're going around the edges, sometimes fall into it. And it's just a random cave with some bomb traps in it. It's a relatively safe hiding hole. Can give you a pretty good reset without having to go to the edge of the map. And just putting a few bomb traps in it made that something you had to actually work for, which I think was fine. As you can see from the complete lack of bomb-related deaths, or deaths anywhere nearby, it isn't super effective. But I like the bomb cave. It's kind of a funny idea to just have random bombs in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of similar to the... Like, this was a lot more effective than it should have been, because this is literally just a random incinerator corridor that's not actually a corridor. Incinerator piston corridor that's not actually a corridor. There's no reason anyone should die to this. You can go around it with no difficulty. It's real silly. But anyway, this is Wakonda, and it will be on social for the foreseeable future. And if it's ever taken off social, I will note it in the description. But for now, if you want to play it, it is there. And I shall see you next time.